My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake. And welcome, everybody. I am so glad you're here. Obviously, we are joined by Chief Broadway of the Clermont Police Department. Chief, welcome to the show once again.
Good morning, Joe. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. As a matter of fact, we did have some technical issues. Sometimes when you're dealing with Wi-Fi and stuff, reaching the guests, now that we're doing these things this way, sometimes it's the signal in their building, sometimes it's just the world signal. So I was grateful to get the Chief on. So instead of calling him during our first commercial break, we figured we'd hang on to him once we got a hold of him. So the Chief... The police are actually my gratitude check today. You know, even though I was pulled over this morning on my way home for not wearing my seatbelt, the funny part is I had just waved at the officer. I was passing him, and he was on a motorcycle, and I waved at him. I try to always wave, give him a smile. And I saw the lights behind me. I was like, what? Well, you know, I was in a hurry to get home, didn't put on my seatbelt, gave me a ticket. But even sitting there, I'm grateful that these guys are out there. You know, we live in a time that's shut down, that everybody's hiding, and the police, the people that aren't hiding are you guys. You're on the pointy end of the spear, and, you know, a ticket's a ticket. If I'd just done what I was supposed to do, if I was in the habit of putting that belt on like I should be every time I get in the truck, not when I'm just going more than 10 minutes away, well, you know, that's on me. So just want to say I really appreciate that, officer. He was Johnny on the spot. But I thought it was ironic that I'm interviewing you today, and here I'm getting pulled over. So I didn't even mention it to him, by the way. So I felt good about that. I didn't even try. I was like, here you go. Then he asked me for my license, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, my wallet's in my other pants. It's too early. So good job. Anyways, I'm grateful for you guys, and you know that I hope everybody out there is. I watched a movie the other night. It's supposed to be a funny movie about police and criminals, and you know they made all the police look really stupid, and I just couldn't finish watching it because it just irritated me too much. I'm like that. So we're going to talk to Chief about a couple of things, mostly about the shutdown, how it's affecting their operations, some of the effects it's had on the way that they police, and certainly talk a little bit about the reopening and what they're seeing. So you have anything you want to say before we get started, Chief?
No, again, just thanks for having me here today, Joe. Remember to always wear your seatbelt. Seatbelts definitely save lives. But no, I just want to thank you again for having me today, and thank you for highlighting and showcasing some great things that are happening in South Lake. So thank you, Joe.
Well, it's from your lips to God and the community's ears. Me and Jay are always working and praying and doing our best to get more eyes on the station so people can we just started a new show. I know Jay was talking to you about that before we came on. We're really glad about that. Monday through Friday. Right now it's a 5 to 10 minute show, but you know, as we grow and as the community grows and as resources come in, we'll expand that to a full-on news show. So we're really looking forward to that. All right. But for now, it's all about you. So let me get started. How has the shutdown affected your operations?
Sure. Well, I think, you know, Joe, in law enforcement, you know, these officers, they are truly heroes. They're truly on the front lines. And they still continue to serve and protect 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. So operation-wise, in reference to what we're doing on a daily basis, has not changed. Our officers are still committed and dedicated to our community, enhancing quality of life, preventing crime, reducing crime. It has changed our operations in reference to events. We're very involved in the community. We host a lot of events, are involved in a lot of events that draw a lot of people. So those events have been curtailed to ensure that we're not are involved in events that have large groups and we cannot practice social distancing. So that's one way it has impacted. But we also work through that as well. Various times our community policing officers are involved in various different drive-by parades to celebrate a child's birthday, graduation. So in that way, we are still involved and able to still host a few events here and there. But operation-wise, our office is still responding to calls for service and still out there on the front lines, preventing crime and reducing crime.
Has it affected the way, when I talked to the fire department, I asked if they had enough PPE equipment. That was a couple of weeks ago. I would assume at this point in time you have everything you need to approach the public, because you were doing some of that anyways, right? I know that your officers carry gloves when they got to search a car. They're dealing with maybe fentanyl or something like that. They can't take the chance of. But now you're wearing masks. Has that increased or changed at all? I mean, are you wearing them all the time now, or?
I would say the one thing that has changed. So any person that we come in contact with who is symptomatic, has any symptoms, any medical calls, we're treating them as if they could possibly have COVID-19. So that's one thing that possibly has changed in the last few months since March, since this pandemic. But you're right, officers do have their personal protective equipment. We've received a shipment of additional equipment, additional supply for our officers as well to ensure that they are safe as they are serving and protecting our community.
I was really impressed just with the city services in general with Clermont Fire Department when he told me that they had a shipment, that they have enough to carry them through the next several months, and they were expecting a shipment when I interviewed him that would carry them through the year. I'm sure you're somewhat in that position, correct?
Correct. So as the city on a whole, collectively, we work together regards emergency management. So a lot of those shipments of supply that the chief was talking about, Chief Ezell, also apply to us as well.
Covers the whole city.
Correct, covers the whole city. So to ensure that police, fire have their PPE and available and are ready to go out and serve, to protect.
Okay, so we're talking about some opening. Some stuff opened up last week, more restaurants opening this week. Is the reopening affecting any of the way that you're doing some policing? I mean, because obviously less events, but now you've got more calls, I would imagine.
Sure. Well, actually, we'll get into that later, but calls for service are down. With the reopening, it's the same thing with kind of the shutdown. Our officers are still out there serving and protecting and responding to calls for service. So that really hasn't changed a lot for us. It is good to see some of our businesses that are opening, specifically some of our restaurants, some of our favorite restaurants as well that are opening. But it's good to see that people are getting back to work. So.
Now, are you being called upon officially to enforce guidelines? Is that coming down from the county and the city and the state, or are you just responding to calls if somebody calls and complains? What is the burden on you guys for that kind of enforcement?
The burden first is the majority of those are complaints from citizens who may say, hey, allegedly this business is not practicing social distancing. This business is over the 25% maximum occupancy. So we have responded to calls of those nature. But the good thing is the majority of our business owners, our managers here in Clermont, they truly are abiding by the guidelines set forth in the CDC, as well as the governor's orders. Like I said, those complaints that we responded to, 99% of our business owners and managers are in compliance. Usually we send our supervisors those type of calls, and every call that they responded to, the manager or that staff is in compliance, which is a good thing. It shows that, hey, they're worried about or concerned about the safety of their employees, and they're also concerned about the safety of their customers as well.
I think in any community, in any large sector of people, you're going to run into people who are just going to find a complaint. They've got to get into
Sure.
somebody else's business. And I wanted to ask because on Cinco de Mayo, we actually covered Jalisco, one of our local Mexican restaurants. And actually, while we were there, an officer came in, and I understood that they had come back a couple of times. And I mean, I get it. If you're driving by and you look at that parking lot, it looks like the place is packed. What you couldn't see from the street as you drive by is the 25 people waiting socially distanced outside for their to-go orders.
Right, correct.
So I wanted to ask, because I saw it, is this putting your officers and your supervisors in a little bit of a difficult position? Is it tough? I mean, are they getting any resistance? Like, what are you doing here? I'm just doing my job.
Sure. It could put them in a difficult situation. But again, the majority of those calls, the managers, the owners have been very amenable and understanding why the officers respond, understanding that the officers are responding due to a call received or a complaint received, and the officers are just looking into that complaint. And again, the majority of those complaints are complaints that were not valid, that our owners, our managers,
Right. Yeah.
those businesses are in compliance. And like you said, sometimes it's a perception because you see so many cars, but some of those cars are people that are waiting because they're not allowing them into the business at that point in time.
Yeah, they're sitting in their car, you know.
Correct, and they're sitting in their car. That's right.
I was very taken that day by the people who were just automatically social distancing. You know, they weren't like going up front to say, "Hey, I'm here. Where's my order?" They were getting in line behind the 10 other people 60 feet away, you know, because there were other people in line. Found ways to use even the parking spaces to judge that distance. So people were like, every place there was a line, there were people waiting, you know, all the way back. The other thing I thought that was very impressive was while I was there, it was my first experience at a sit-down restaurant, so it was quite nice because I've been holed up for a while. And a party came in, had 11 people, and they got all mad at the manager because the manager's like, no, in an abundance of caution, we're only seating groups of 4. You can seat at different tables, but we're not going to seat you at a group of 11. And I'm sure the woman had been dealing with this perception all day.
Right.
Okay. I wanted to ask, are you having any staffing issues because of the stay-at-home order? Did you, are you getting people that, you know, maybe, and I know that you have an officer, Officer Buckley, that was affected by this, and I want to say first that, you know, our hearts and our thoughts go out to you in the force, go out to his family. We've been praying ever since we heard.
Thank you.
You know, are you having staffing issues because of that, or just because of the shutdown in general?
Sure. No staffing issues, Joe. You know, I like to say this is that, you know, we all know that crisis, challenging times, it builds character. But I also believe that challenging times and crisis, it reveals character, reveals who we are, reveals what we're made of, reveals what's inside of us. And these crises, these challenges and times just really reveal that our officers on the front lines, that they are true heroes. So we haven't had a staffing issue because they're more than willing to come in and work and serve and protect through times of comfort, through times when there's not so many challenges, and they do the same job, same commitment, same level of dedication during this pandemic and during challenging times. Officer Buckley, we truly lost a hero to COVID-19. There is a bond that exists amongst law enforcement officers that, like no other. You know, these men and women, they work together every single day. They spend so much time together on the front lines. They spend so much time together serving and protecting that is just such a strong bond, and a family is created. And losing Comrade Buckley was truly, we lost a part of us. We lost a member of our family. And again, and even with that, to show just South Lake and our entire community, Joe, our community really came together, really showed their overwhelming support and love for the men and women in the Clermont Police Department through this difficult time. I mean, they really, really, I mean, just an outpouring of support and love they show to us.
I understand that his service was very private, in large part because of the situation that we're in. I was very taken to come over the hill one day, coming off of 50 onto 27, and see the line of blue lights at the horizon that you could literally see 4 miles away in the parking lot of Real Life. I understand that was a very small, private ceremony, that there weren't that there were representatives from each of the agencies, but certainly not attended the way you would expect an officer's funeral to be attended. And I just wanted to point out that was, to our viewers, not due to his popularity, but due to the shutdown. You
Sure.
had limitations. Are you now? I know Officer Buckley was exposed to COVID-19 on a trip. I read the release. He came back and was immediately quarantined because he was feeling some flu-like symptoms. Is there anybody else in your force that's quarantined or that you're tracing because of contact?
No, we don't have anyone that's quarantined at this point in time. Everyone is here and working. Thank God, everyone has remained healthy and safe throughout this time. So,
do you have testing available to you if you need it?
yes, we do. There is a testing site right here at the Arts and Rec Center in Clermont. Then we also have access to the rapid test kit as well,
Good.
where the results where you can get results within 10 to 15 minutes.
That's good to hear, because I'm sure as you get medical calls and you think somebody may be, you'd like to test your officers 2 days later just to be sure.
That's correct. That's correct.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the statistics I've been reading about. Statistically, I know across the state and the nation, suicide and domestic abuse are up. Are you seeing an increase in any particular types of calls?
Sure. Definitely domestic disturbance calls. We have seen an increase of about 27% in domestic disturbance calls within the city limits of Clermont, starting from about March 15th till today, in comparison to March 15th up until May 12th of last year, as a 27% increase in domestic disturbance calls. Everything from domestic disputes to domestic violence, domestic batteries, domestic assaults.
So are you getting those calls mostly from concerned neighbors? I know that we've done some pieces on the show that say if you're concerned about a neighbor, better to call and be wrong, because domestic can flare up quick.
Sure.
It's not like a regular confrontation because your emotions are involved. You're in close proximity. Are you getting a lot of that from the homes themselves, or mostly from concerned neighbors?
Majority from the homes. Majority of the victim that says, I've had enough and I'm calling, and officers respond and do a on-scene investigation. And then also sometimes as well, our community, a neighbor or resident hears something or sees something, and then they call law enforcement officer. Also, again, if you see something, say something. So the source comes from both of those avenues.
Now, I know that when I had talked to some other people about children getting through this, there seemed to be a concern nationwide that since a lot of the child abuse reporting comes from our school system, or at least the child endangerment, I'm not even sure endangerment's the right word, but concerns about a child not being in a safe situation are coming from the school system, but nobody's at school. Kids aren't showing up and being seen by a teacher, so they're not having the same interaction. Are you seeing an uptick in that, or a fall off on that, or any other types of calls?
Yeah, we haven't seen an uptick in that in the city limits of Clermont. But I will say, though, the schools are remaining in contact with the families. They have the mental health professionals in the schools. They also have guidance counselors and teachers and advocates that are remaining in contact with families to ensure that smooth transition and to ensure their safety as well. So it truly is a partnership between our school officials, law enforcement, our parents, our community, to ensure that those types of crimes are minimized and are eliminated.
Great. That is good to hear that you're not seeing a particular increase in that. I did want to say, well, we got to go to break. When we get back, we're going to continue with the chief. It'd be easy for me to go on like this for an hour and a half, but we have some time constraints. So don't go away. We are joined by Chief Broadway of the Clermont Police Department, and we'll be talking to him when we get back. See you in a minute.
All right.
Life is better when you're smiling. At Modern Orthodontics, Dr. Alan Wong has changed thousands of lives helping patients achieve the modern smile with braces and clear aligners. Utilizing digital scanning technology, Modern Orthodontics creates in-office 3D models for clearly modern aligners. Modern Orthodontics is conveniently located in Clermont, Apopka, and Bushnell. Call or text us to schedule your free exam and create your modern smile today.
And welcome back. So if you're just joining us, we have been joined by Chief Chuck Broadway of the Clermont Police Department, a big celebrity in the area, actually. You know, Chief, your acceptance, your recognition in the community is unlike anything I've ever seen before. I want to say that on a personal note, that in and of itself is inspiring, I know, to me, and I think to other business leaders, where I've lived in several communities in Lake County and never really seen the recognition of the chief of police the way you have made this part of your job, and you do it the right way, humbly, as a purpose. You're constantly building up the department, law enforcement, and the community, and that's probably why. So you're a very popular guy. So thank you.
Hey, I really appreciate that, Joe. And humbly, I say this: 23 years ago, I joined this profession as a beat cop in Brooklyn. I said because I wanted to make a difference in the lives of other people and the community that I serve. As the chief of police, same goal, same mission: make a difference in the lives of other people and make a difference in this community that I vow to serve and protect. So, thank you. Appreciate that.
It comes through quite well. And again, I'm constantly running into people, and I mentioned that I may have had you on the show, or I know you, or ran into you, or someone that, I know Chief Broadway. So I was actually surprised there was room for me on your friends list. Okay, as I was explaining in the break, my wife, and my viewers know, my wife is a live PD junkie. If you are not familiar with the show Live PD, this is a show that for 3 hours a night, Friday and Saturday, I think it's on A&E, it follows police departments live around the country. I think actually they're in 2 counties this season in Florida. One is up by Jacksonville, and I think another one's down by Tampa. So we saw something on that this last week, and I wanted to ask you a question. Has this shutdown, the situation in the climate, forced you to be more lenient or change the way you enforce more minor offenses? And the reason I wanted to ask that question is the thing she saw, and I think it came out of Louisiana. They pulled somebody over, they found some drugs, not kilos of it, but they found drugs and paraphernalia. And what they did was they gave them a citation and a self-appearance warrant, and trusted that they'd showed up. And they explained normally they'd be carting those guys off to jail.
Right.
Have you had any changes that have been directed maybe by greater law enforcement authorities or, like the state police? How are you? Is there anything like that you're dealing with?
Sure. I wouldn't say more lenient. I would say maybe just changing the way we operate on certain instances during this pandemic. So the law allows us to issue, like you saw on Live PD, a notice to appear or a criminal citation where that person is given a court date and that person is mandated to show up at court. That is in lieu of a physical arrest. So yes, we are issuing more notice to appears and criminal citations, when applicable, by law allows us to, and that's in lieu of arrest. That person is mandated to show up in court for their hearing before the judge.
Yeah, I just want to be clear to people. Florida is not one of those, certainly Clermont is not one of those release them, no bail kind of places. That we are not talking about offenses like,
No.
We're talking about minor offenses that might
Correct.
get you a ticket. You're drunk driving in 3 sheets to the wind, you're not driving home.
That's correct.
That's I mean, I would imagine maybe you're letting them, if they're close to the line, call somebody to take them home, but you're not, you're just not carrying everybody off to jail that you normally would. But if somebody like pulls a gun or something like that, things. Yeah, I don't want people to have a list of things that they can like not go to jail for.
Sure, right, right.
But I did want to,
like you said, and that is in lieu of an actual physical arrest.
right.
So that person is still under arrest. They may not be going to jail that evening, but they do have to see a judge on an appointed date and time.
Right, and again, that is only for more minor offenses.
Minor
I'm sure
offenses.
Felonies are taking you
That's
away,
right. That's right.
So don't go 185 in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. And wear your seatbelt. Okay. I did want to ask how the morale of the Clermont Police Department is holding up through this. Again, you lost Officer Buckley. I know that had to come as a blow
Sure.
in the midst of everything because you guys are human. You're dealing with the same stuff we're dealing with. So,
Right.
can you give us an idea of how the morale is?
Yeah. Morale is okay. Obviously there's some anxieties out there and some uncertainties out there, but overall, overwhelmingly, I believe that morale is okay. It's good. Again, these men and women are true heroes. Joe, they've proven time and time again that they can succeed during times when there isn't serious challenges or serious issues, and they continue to do that same job under these circumstances due to a pandemic and losing one of their own. Their commitment and dedication to serving this community is just truly exemplary, and it's extraordinary. A person that chooses to get into law enforcement, it truly is something innate in them. It's something innate that they are choosing a profession that's just greater than themselves. It's for the greater good, and it truly shows during these tough and these challenging times that they are truly committed and dedicated to this community.
It's funny. I'm sure that somebody that chooses law enforcement has an innate desire to serve on some level. It certainly ain't about the money.
That's right.
I mean, not unless you get into, FBI, CIA, higher, Secret Service, higher up, maybe state police, higher up in the in the management and leadership. You might start seeing some money at that point. But the average cop sitting in a car, I mean, if he's good with his money, it's a stable job.
Right.
But I think that you probably see a lot of the same motivations that have guys go into the military service. And indeed, I'm sure a lot of your officers are veterans, aren't they?
Yeah, we have a large contingency of our officers that has served, and some that are still serving, where they attend a drill 1 weekend a month.
No, where they've gone from active into the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we asked about your department, the staff and the officers. How are the families? I mean, this is always something that people tend to forget about, I think, when they have the police department. But each one of those officers represents a family, whether they're married and have children, whether they're single and have moms and dads and brothers and sisters. There's still a whole wide range of people that are concerned about them. How's their morale holding up?
I think their morale is hold up as well as it could be also, Joe. They're part of our extended family, and we ensure that they're involved, they're in the know, they're involved in various different events that we have for our agency personnel. They also have a support group of different significant others of our officers. They have a support group where they get together and they talk We also have 3 chaplains on board at our agency here for our officers, but our chaplains are also here and provide free services to our officers' significant others as well. So that's one of the things that we do to continue to ensure that morale stays at a good level. And morale can be like a roller coaster at times, depending on what's happening, what's going on. But again, consistently and overwhelmingly, morale has been fairly well here at the Clermont Police Department.
Well, good. That's good to hear. And again, I'm sure that has to do not only with your leadership, but those in leadership directly under you.
Sure.
Making it can't be easy to lead the group you're leading, especially in times like this. And again, it's hard enough to deal with the shutdown, the fact that they show up every day, but I can only imagine what would happen if somebody that I worked with, I'd take a couple of days. Everybody at the office where my job would take a couple of days,
Right.
You guys can't, you gotta man up and put on your big boy pants, your big girl pants, and strap up and still show up for the job. So, because somebody out there needs protection,
That's right. And you made a good point there, Joe. I am blessed with a great staff, men and women that are true leaders that are committed to this community, committed to the men and women of the Clermont Police Department to ensure their success and ensure that they succeed and safe and their overall well-being. So I truly do have a great staff here.
And I have to say, and I've had some experience in my younger life with police and some experience after the change in my life. And I think one of the things that's cool about our community, and it's another facet of our amazing community, is that I have not found the cop who's a jerk. I really haven't found that man or woman yet that I felt was really looking down on me, because I know if you pull up my stuff, you're pulling up my record. That's as if, I'm mature enough to realize that. But unlike other places, I've not felt particularly singled out because of that. And I think, again, that's a testament to your leadership and to the heart of the officers that you're hiring. You're probably not hiring those guys, right? You get a psychological profile, and you're like, Mr. Megalomaniac, you can go down somewhere else, right? I did want to ask: is there anything we can do individually or as a community to help you guys, not just in your job but on the side part?
A few things. I would say definitely continue to follow the CDC guidelines, be in compliance with those. That's going to help us not only as a community, but as a nation get through this challenging time with this pandemic. Our community has done so much, Joe. I tell you, each week, a few times a week, community members have brought food by to feed our officers, dessert, snacks. They have done a parade through our police department showing their appreciation for the men and women they're serving and protecting. I believe a Corvette club is coming through tomorrow to show their appreciation for the officers. They're going to drive through our parking lot. So our community has shown overwhelming love and support for the men and women in the Clermont Police Department. And that means a lot. It goes a long way when an officer feels that he or she is supported from our community. That means a lot. It goes a long, long way.
I've honestly wonder, does that touch the officers? Does that touch them? Does it give them the strength to take that next step one more day?
It really does. You think about our officers, we may just see this uniform, but that officer in that uniform could be a mom, could be a dad, a brother, sister. They have to go home, they got to cut the grass, they got to pay bills, they have to do chores, take care of kids, go shopping, do everything that the regular citizen does every single day, but they come into work to serve and protect, put their lives on the line for their community. So when they feel that support, that is definitely a source of strength for them, a source of love, support for them, and it really gives them that energy and that synergy to do their job and do the job well.
It's funny that, and I know that the stress of police departments are different depending on where you serve, and obviously you were in New York. I have this conversation quite a bit with people about the difference between actual law enforcement and the Hollywood television version of law enforcement, right? That you guys aren't, half of you aren't divorced, that's again a Hollywood image. You're not looking to put anybody down. You try not to look at, people are human. You try not to look at different races or creeds differently than anybody else. It's all about keeping the community safe and enforcing the law.
Right.
And if people would learn to accept responsibility for their actions, things like what happened to that gentleman up in Georgia are not the norm.
Right.
They're the rarity. That took a particularly bad actor, a couple of them, to happen. It's not, police are not like that in general. And again, sometimes departments feed into that cliche,
Right.
but we don't here in Clermont.
Sure.
So, I really appreciate that. Wanted to know, obviously we talked about Officer Buckley. Has there been a fund for him? Is there a GoFundMe page that we as a community can take part in? Is there anything we can do to help the family?
Sure. There is a GoFundMe account, and you can look at our Clermont Police Department Facebook page and see that GoFundMe account and donate as well.
Okay, great. Really appreciate that. How's about if we like that idea and we want to organize something like a drop-off for the police or an appreciation parade or something like that? Who do we contact? Do we contact the department directly? Do we go through the website?
You can contact us directly on the website. There's my emails there, and my captain's emails there as well. You can email myself or any of my police captains, and we will definitely accommodate you and help make those arrangements.
Okay, great. I really, really appreciate that. Finally, you and I talked, and I always like to submit my interviews because it is really about you guys, putting a spotlight on you guys. Is there anything else that you think we should know that you'd like to talk about before we finish up?
No, just again, throughout this pandemic time, regardless of what the new normal is going to look like or the normal, Clermont Police Department is here to serve and protect our community. We're going to remain committed and diligent on our efforts of reducing crime, preventing crime, and enhancing quality of life at all. You can bet on it that we will be here for you throughout challenging times as well as times that aren't so challenging. And we thank our community for your continued support. We are a better agency. We are more effective. We are more efficient when we work together to achieve those goals. So thank you.
Well, Chief, thank you for being a guest today. I really appreciate you making time. I will say this to the viewers. I just talked to Chief before this. We're going to work on a monthly law enforcement update, Clermont PD update. They'll be appearing on Cup of Joe. This is a new project. We're going to work on this. I can't guarantee you when it is, but you'll know. We'll promote it. Thank you, Chief, for everything that you do. You are an amazing man, an amazing leader, and you lead an amazing force, and we really, really appreciate it. So
thank you, Joe.
We're going to go to commercial break. When we get back, we're going to do Joe's Deal of the Day, Cup of Joe, and some final thoughts on this interview. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
50 West, pre-leasing now in Clermont. A first-of-its-kind commercial development in the Southeast. Contact us today to reserve your spot in this historic development. 50 West, unique, quality, Class A. For more information on leasing, contact Ashley Punn at 407-403-4165. Karen Arlano at 407-948-0767. Or visit lease at 50 West.
Burgerum, located in the Epic Theater Shopping Plaza on Highway 27, is the premier destination for gourmet burgers. Using only the freshest ingredients, Burgerum offers a variety of burgers, salads, wings, and a whole lot more. Beef, chicken, lamb, fish, and even veggie. Burgerum has something for everyone, no matter your dietary preference. Burgerum, millions of possibilities, endless combinations.
there's anything you want to do, if you want to come out from this, it's okay to ask for help. And it may not necessarily be help from a professional mental health counselor. Maybe you just need to get a couple of people you trust, or somebody who's in authority, somebody who is a mentor or more advanced than you in whatever you're trying to do, to find out how to do it. I have lost 27 pounds. I ran yesterday for 40 minutes for the first time in probably 10, 12 years, all at the same time. And that was only because Brandy Thunberg from Sunshine Transformations has been coaching me and counseling me. Coaching is counseling. You know, your counsel is important. The other side of that is, keep in mind that people listen to what you have to say. That your counsel should come out of a desire to help somebody else, not a desire for them to know how smart you are. So, anyways, that's it on counseling today. That's Cup of Joe. We've had a great show. Chief Broadway, as always, a great guest. I really appreciate him. An obvious example of using his greatness to bring out the greatness in others. You can see it across the police department and this community. So I want to encourage you, if there is greatness inside you, and you can use your greatness to bring out the greatness in others. Touch another life, and you will change the world. You may never see the change, but it will change nonetheless. I will see you tomorrow, and I love you. Bye-bye.
My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake.
All right. Go ahead.
Before dawn this morning, 50 buses left the ABC bus facility in Oakland on their way to Washington, D.C. to have their voices heard. While public transportation continues to carry passengers all over the country, the motor coach industry has been brought to a stop due to the COVID pandemic. ABC Bus has had to lay off half their workforce and has been offered no stimulus to help from the government in order to survive as the airlines have. ABC Bus will merge their caravan with 300 or more buses and motor coaches to converge on our nation's capital to draw attention to the industry and their plight, as well as to continue to raise awareness of the double standard in the definition of essential business.
Good.
You sure?
All right. Good. All right, hold on.
I did it in one time.
That's good.
I haven't had as much caffeine.
It's fine. It's not a big deal. We're moving on.
critical.
We're moving on.
JCPenney?
Stop it. Hold on. Okay, so I'm done with that.
Mm-hmm.
Pull these up. Son of a gun.
What?
I screwed something up. You're good. You're fine.
Is mine in there?
No, yeah, I screwed mine up.
How are you doing this on Facebook? What do you want me to do now? Pennies?
Hold on, let me get there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that one's good. It's good. All right, let's do pennies. And whenever you're ready.
In 1902, JCPenney opened his first store Now, 118 years later, Penny's has filed for bankruptcy and plans to close 200 stores. There are only 6 stores on the short list of closings thus far, but stay tuned to Southlake TV News to keep you updated on the fate. Which one?
Just when you start.
All of it. There are.
Just do it again. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
In 1902, J.C. Penney opened his first store. Now, 118 years later, Penny's has filed for bankruptcy and plans to close 200 stores. There are only 6 stores on the short list of closings thus far, but stay tuned to Southlake TV News to keep you updated on the fate of our store here locally.
I didn't like the end.
No?
No, just the way that you're. But the stay tuned part is you're not. Start with there are only 6 stores. Just do that last line one more time. Where's this list? Where's the list of 6 stores?
You told me you didn't want it if it didn't affect us.
No. You said that there was a list.
Oh.
Where is it?
Groveland awareness thing had a. Hold on, let me get back there. It was on. Here, that's okay. You can Google it. Yep, that one.
It's this one?
But I Googled it. Yeah.
But that's the entire story. So there's the entire story.
This was. I Googled which penny stores are closing. It's Wyoming and. You don't want me to stay tuned?
Yeah, no. I want you to say that again because it was jumbled when you said it. It sounded like shit.
Sorry.
Okay, I got the list right here. Good.
So you want me to start with there are only 6?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But that was in May. That was in April.
Oh.
That those stores closed. The 6. And this was a report back in January.
There wasn't an updated list? Yeah. That's it. There wasn't anything else. Are you still rolling?
I'm gonna leave that. Yeah, I'm still rolling. These are just mine.
Well, let me know when to go.
What the heck? What was that? Alright, I got it. So let's move on. Did you do that last line? Did you do it?
No.
Read it. You don't have to wait. I'm gonna pull the footage from here. That's on my computer separate.
So I just keep talking.
You keep talking.
There are only 6 stores on the short list of closings thus far, but stay tuned to Southlake TV News to keep you updated on the fate of our store here locally.
Good. All right, moving on. Real estate.
Local theft. Oh,
No,
real
oh,
estate.
No, you're right. Local theft.
I got theft, the weather, and real estate. You ready?
Yeah, I just don't have any visuals to show it. I couldn't find that address. The Sawyer or Sewanee something road, that doesn't exist anywhere in Clermont. I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Should we be concerned about that? Well, it was on their blotter.
I know. I'm just saying. It's just whatever the address is.
What'd I call it? Hold on. Sewanee Banks.
There's no Sewanee Banks. I didn't see any Sewanee Banks. It said 2000 Sewanee Banks, Clermont, Florida. No. Here's, the 2000. I see the thing. Here, I'll just pull this up. That's fine. I'll just pull this up.
Okay.
The release from their
Was that today's or yesterday's?
This is today, 4 hours ago.
I've got that one. Yeah.
The subject arrested for burglary and trespass location. Burglary and trespass, Hospital Way, Oakley Seaver.
That's today.
That's today. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I thought you were pulling up their yesterdays.
No. We're gonna read this one instead. I don't have anything for the other one. Let's just read.
So we're not doing the theft.
I mean, I don't have anything to show. I mean, yeah, you can do it. We're gonna do this one too, though.
But what, didn't I put you the washer dryer?
All I got is a fucking shot of washer and dryer. I mean, like, if that's what you want to go with. I mean, I don't.
So I hate to just read these incident reports. Shall I go to the weather?
Yeah, just go ahead and record the weather right now.
The National Weather Service issued a red flag warning in effect from 1 p.m. this afternoon until 7 p.m. this evening, calling for low relative humidity and gusty winds for South Lake County. The high today reached 88 degrees. The low tonight will be 64 degrees, and tomorrow's forecast is The National Weather Service issued a red flag warning in effect from 1 p.m. this afternoon until 7 p.m. this evening, calling for low relative humidity and gusty winds for South Lake County. The high today reached 88 degrees. The low tonight will be 64 degrees, and tomorrow's forecast is partly cloudy with a high of 87.
Good. All right.
Real estate.
You did real estate, didn't you?
Nope.
Go ahead.
In South Lake real estate, the median sales price is currently $292,000 and averaging dollars. In South Lake County real estate, the median sales price is currently at $292,000 and averaging 96 days on the market. That's an 8.66% increase over the last 90 days and a 6.9 change. That's an 8.66 increase. Okay. That's an 8.66% increase over the last 90 days and a 6.9% change over the past 12 months. For more information or to schedule a review of your real estate needs, please contact Realtor Joe Carlisle at RE/MAX Titanium in Clermont.
Good.
Let me just leave off the theft.
Yeah, leave off.
You
the
got
theft.
good
Let's-
bus footage.
And do one that's, and this just in from the Clermont Police Department.
Which one? All of them?
Well, this right here. This is the one that just came out a minute ago.
Hospital Way. Yeah, I've got that. Is that
You
what
got
I'm
that?
looking at?
That's today, right? That's the incident report for today.
Burglary, death. No, that's something different. I can't even. Can you print that?
No foul play was found, so just scratch the death.
Oh, you do have the death.
I do have the death. Yeah, I got the.
You got the
there's
same thing.
burglary and trespass, death,
Take-
resisting arrest,
Scratch the death.
trespass, DUI. I don't want to do that.
No DUI.
No DUI. No trespass.
No trespass.
No.
No driving with a suspended. I like these. The active or warrant arrest. I like those.
Where's that at? Oh, this is the resisting arrest.
Yeah, I like that one.
So just give me some one-liners from this. And this just in from the city of Clermont.
Well, I need to do those intros too that I did yesterday.
Yeah.
This just in from the Clermont Police Department.
From the city of Clermont.
Okay.
Yes, please.
This just in from the City of Clermont Police Department.
A suspect was arrested for burglary and trespassing from a.
You want me to wing it, aren't you? Okay,
I mean,
here I go.
We haven't.
A suspect. Okay. A suspect was arrested for burglary and trespass from Hospital View Way and Oakley Seaver Drive yesterday. Okay? No.
Yes, and.
You like that? Okay. There was an arrest. Okay. There was an arrest made with driving on a suspended or revoked license, resisting arrest, and also on an active warrant.
So I'm trying to figure out how we. It's not really like complete sentences. We're just like talking.
I know. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
I don't either. I mean,
Well, let's just do this another time because
what the
we got to.
the actual news.
They've been sending them later and later. It was really late yesterday.
Well, no, it was early today.
It was earlier today, right? What else do you need me to say? Local weather.
You already did look. Didn't you start off?
Yeah, but you
Welcome to South Lake TV News. Today is May 12th, 2020, and here's a rundown of our stories today.
say all that again.
Welcome to South Lake TV News. It is May 12th, 2020, and here's a rundown of our stories for today.
Here is a rundown of our stories today. Okay.
All right, just read what you wrote for the washer thing.
The local theft.
Yeah.
You want me to read that?
Yeah, sure.
Grand theft of a brand new Whirlpool washer-dryer combo took place in a home under construction in the 2000 block of Swanee Bank Street. Water supply lines were cut on both ends and left atop of the dryer's exhaust vent hose when the units were taken late last week. Clermont Police is working with the appliance supplier to obtain model and serial numbers in order to help locate the missing items.
Great.
Welcome to South Lake TV News. Today is May 12th, 2020. Here's a rundown of our stories today. Again?
No, that was great. Do these two again.
Which one?
This. The
Burglary and trespass.
And the resisting arrest thing. I'm gonna highlight them as you're talking. Go ahead. Just.
You liked it the way I did it?
I like the subject was arrested for burglary and trespassing from the Hospital View Way and Oakley Seaver Drive location
On May 11th.
yes. This just ended from
Or
Clermont.
yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
Okay.
Ready?
I think so. This just in from the City of Clermont Police Department. Yesterday, a subject was arrested for burglary and trespass on Hospital View Way and Oakley Seaver Drive.
And then include the for the arrest warrant one. Just also include the address. And over on the 3000 block of Highway 27, the subject was arrested for and just end it like that.
Over on the 3000 block of U.S. Highway 27, a subject was arrested for driving with a suspended or revoked license, resisting arrest, and also on an active warrant.
Good. Stay tuned to South Lake TV for more updates.
Local news. Stay tuned to South Lake TV Daily for more updates on. I don't know. Why can't I just say?
Just say whatever you want to. I mean, I'm down for you to say whatever you want. All right, that's it. That's all I need. Okay. All right, you done recording words? Thank you for watching South Lake TV News. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for watching South Lake TV News. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good. Anything else?
No.